Okay, let's go to the news conference now.
Good morning, everybody. We brought you here today to discuss a major development that occurred over the past 24 hours involving our continuing investigation on Elaina Steinfurth. As most of you know, yesterday about 3 o'clock, 3:16, Toledo Police Department detectives executed a search warrant at 701 Federal based on information obtained during our investigation. As a result of that search warrant, we were able to recover immature human skeletal remains that was turned over to the Lucas County Coroner's Office. Presently, the Lucas County Coroner is conducting an autopsy on those remains. We've contacted the State Bureau of Criminal Investigation, and they'll be working over the weekend to also conduct additional examination on these remains in an attempt to determine the identity of these remains. This investigation that we have is still ongoing and is still active. It is an ongoing investigation and is still an active investigation. So there's many things that we cannot discuss at this time. Standing behind me is the prosecutor from Lucas County, Julia Bates, her assistants, Jeff Lingo and Rob Miller, FBI Special Agent in Charge, Dave Dustin, Tanya Ryder, who is one of the lead investigators on this investigation, Captain Wes Bombries, who commands my Investigative Services Division, Lieutenant Bill Moton, who commands my Homicide Division, Captain Brad Weiss, who commands my Strategic Response Division, and I believe John Wagner may be behind us, who is also with the FBI. There's a lot of things we can talk about with this case, but we're here to be able to answer what questions that we're willing to fill from you at this time.
Did Stephen King give you the tip that led you to the remains?
You want to talk about that?
Obviously, at this point, I'm not going to make a comment on that. I can tell you that we obviously have been working on it ever since this case has started, and we're continuing, and it led us to 704 Federal from our investigation last night.
But you're not saying that it came from?
No, I can't comment on that right now.
How long were those remains there in that garage?
That I can't comment on either.
Had you checked the garage before?
We've conducted a couple search warrants at the house, specifically the garage, no. Obviously, our investigation led us last night, or yesterday afternoon, I mean, to that specific garage, and that's why we conducted another search warrant there.
What type of box was it, and where was it inside the garage?
I could tell you that, off the top of my head, I can't tell you the garage.
I can tell you that. It was located, there's rafters in the garage that expand above, and it was located near their far corner in that garage behind quite a bit of other, I want to say, boxes, trash, things of that nature.
It was in a box in the rafters?
It was up on a shelf in the rafters, yes.
Can you describe the box?
Not at this time, no. It's just a...
Some of the volunteers who have been searching told us that they've asked police before to search the garage. Is this true?
I don't know what those people have said. We searched the garage to the best of our ability at that time, and the location is very tough to search. If anybody has been out there, they could attest to that.
So before this search, you hadn't received any requests to search the garage before that you know of?
We searched initially when we were looking for the missing child. The original investigation was a missing child, so we were looking for where a child could go.
3 weeks in, Bruce Smith with the group Justice for Nevaeh said they brought their own dog in and they got some hit on the garage and called the police and told you guys, and you didn't do anything about it. Do you recall hearing from them?
No, I don't recall that at all. We did bring our own cadaver dogs in. However, due to the condition of the property, the dogs were not allowed to go in.
When was the original search conducted? After the baby disappeared?
Right away, the police started a search that day.
In the garage also?
All property in the garage, and then the next day, right away, we canvassed the whole neighborhood, searching door to door, talking to people.
So the garage had been searched previously. Did you know how? I just want to make sure it happened.
The garage was searched,
Okay.
but The
Prior to
completeness of the search,
yesterday?
I can't tell you.
Prior to yesterday?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, absolutely.
Did whoever was searching go up into that like loft type area?
Well,
before yesterday?
we can't get into all those details right now, okay?
Because right now, I think the general sentiment is that Toledo Police dropped the ball on this, and by not finding the box. I mean, whether or not, I mean, was the baby in there the whole time, do you think?
Well, we didn't drop the ball, number one. Number two, this investigation is ongoing and it's active. We can't get into all these various details right now. The main thing that you have to remember are two things. Number one, we wanted to find the body. We wanted to find that baby, which we did. Number two, we want to bring justice for Elaina, which means that we're going to continue to pursue our investigation and do the things we need to do to make sure the people that are responsible for this are held accountable. We're not going to get into all this, how many times we checked here, how many times we checked that. We had a lot of deception taking place, being told to us by a variety of sources in this community. And because of that, we took the investigation where we felt we needed to take it. The bottom line is we found what we believe may be Baby Elaina. We're going to conduct our investigation. We're going to bring those responsible to justice.
How identifiable is the remains?
Pardon me?
How identifiable is the remains?
Only thing I can tell you, there's immature human skeletal remains, and that's all I can tell you. It'll be up to the Lucas County coroner to make that determination, and they're doing that right now on their autopsy. We're bringing in the Bureau of Criminal Investigation. They'll be working over the weekend to try to help do additional examination so we can determine for sure if the remains are who we think it may be.
Maybe Ms. Bates can speak to this. The deception that you just spoke about, is that the reason that so far to this point it's only been obstruction of justice? And how soon, if at all, will there be other charges brought now that you have possibly a body?
Thanks for asking that question. I guess what I'd like to say is it would really do no service to any of the participants, your readers and your viewers, the community at large, the family, to speculate on any of the things that you've asked us. Because there are so many things that at this point in time we don't know. So what we are telling you is what we do know, what we can tell you, and as it unfolds and as the investigation continues, you'll learn more and more and more. But to speculate and to hypothesize about if, when, where, how, and why, we just cannot do that. And that would just be silly and foolish. So, thank you.
On that note about deception, over the last few weeks, we've seen the focus of the search really be the river. Was that a product of deception? What led to that shift in the search at the river? Now we have this garage.
We're not going to get into that. Once again, this is an active investigation. It's ongoing. We're not going to start going on the various threads of why we did what we did, because once again, this is an active investigation.
There was originally, the mom, Angela, she said she found a diaper along the river. Do you think maybe she planted it there? Do you think the baby ever made it to the river?
We're once again, I'm not going to answer those questions. This is an ongoing active investigation.
Just to verify, was this taken out of the Stephen King residence garage or another one in the alley behind it?
What?
The box of remains, was that taken?
704 Federal.
Chief, can you determine how long the box has been in the garage?
I mean, obviously, we're looking at all those aspects, but we don't know at this point.
And I know at this point we can't say for 100% sure whether these remains are Baby Elaina. However, how certain can you be? I mean, are we dealing with two potential harms?
Well, I'm not going to go down that thread either. You know, we're here to let you all know, let the community know, as we always said, when we have more information come about this case. This is a high-profile case in this community. It's a very emotional case. It's a high-profile, top-priority case for Toledo Police Department. You know, I've been chief now for almost 2 years, and it's the second case that's really strenuous, that's high-profile, and has a strong concern in the community. We're pulling all our resources together to try to solve this investigation. And I do not want to say anything at this press conference or in the future that's going to jeopardize this investigation. We have you all here today because we wanted to give you an update of what's going on, and so we don't have all these speculation in the media. Okay?
Speaking of the emotion, last night there was an altercation after the original search when police took down their tape and left the scene. Are you satisfied with the response that they didn't stay there maybe to keep the area calm, and had to come back once the fight started?
We followed our normal protocol. If there was any indication that we felt there was going to be any type of problems within that community, of course we would have stayed. But our normal protocol is, when we finish what we have to do, we leave. We had no indication that something was going to flare up. And once we found out things were going to flare up, we took the appropriate action. Thank you all. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. That's it.
All right, you've been watching a news conference in the Elaina Steinfurth case, the toddler who disappeared about 3 months ago at the very beginning of June. They have just announced that immature human remains were found in a garage. They were found in the far corner of the garage in a box on a shelf up in the rafters. And that garage had been searched sometimes before, at least twice before. But apparently, somehow or other, they managed to not see the remains at that time, or the box at that time. This entire area around 704 Federal has been the subject of and the focus of an intense search over the last 3 months. And people have walked practically every weekend, and even more frequently than that, around that area. It is astonishing, really, that considering the cadaver dogs and all kinds of other efforts were made in that area, that these remains were not found before then. Just to give you the timeline on some of this stuff, Angela Steinfurth, Elaina's mother, is in custody and has been now for more than a month on an obstruction of justice charge. Stephen King, Angela's former boyfriend, is also in custody and just had a court appearance yesterday. It was after that court appearance that he, King, was apparently taken into the police offices up the Detective Bureau and questioned further on this matter. And following that, the search warrant was issued for that garage at 704 Federal. And the box containing the immature human remains was recovered from there. So that brings you up to speed on where we have been over the last 3 months or so and where we are now. Right now, an autopsy is underway on those remains. Presumably DNA evidence will be taken in order to confirm whether, and it seems almost assuredly it is the case, that it is Elaina Steinfurth's body. So, Prosecutor Julia Bates says she will not speculate further on this. There has been quite a bit of questioning, intense questioning of the Chief Diggs, about whether the police department did drop the ball. He says they did not. We will be back later today with more on this. You can always check out WNWO, and you can always check out northwestohio.com for the latest.